Now you all know how much I love wandering around through fields full of unexploded munitions and ruins of buildings, linking us all to the past of weapons testing and military innovation. You saw our episode from Kummersdorf and Jutbug Proving Grounds, where so much research and special testing took place, and roughly in the middle between these, as the drunken crow flies, another weapons testing ground lies. And here I found one of my most favorite discoveries, something that's linking me to one of my favorite forts, and we did not even know it was here. This is just so very cool. And this was the floor. From 1880, the Fortress Building School at Jutbug Shooting Range was relocated here to Mackensdorf. For the first time, the fortress construction with concrete was tested on large and a small fort here. These we're going to take a look at. They're extremely important from a historical perspective, and with the new military use of balloons and airships, bombing practice was also done here, shortly before World War I. Also, the pioneers of the mine-throwing school will set up a close combat center here too. Of course, after 1935, the site was expanded and saw lots of activities, and after World War II, the Russian military tested bomb runs, missiles and rocket tests here during the Cold War, and the site was expanded several times over. We're back out in a glorious forest here in the autumn, almost November, in Europe. And there's a couple of reasons. We are not far from Jutbug, we're not far from Kummersdorf, we're not far from Sossen. But there's something very special that they built out here. The Germans, leading up to World War I, they built some bunkers, just like the French forts. Nice little storm that came in off the coast, so fortunately we're going into a few bunkers. And these are really interesting because before World War I, the Germans did the same thing here as they did before World War II, and most other militaries did. Here, they built bunkers resembling those of their enemies. So you had all these wonderful French forts from World War I that the French and Belgians had built. Here, Kummersdorf, the Germans built the same to test them with their heavy shells. You see, it wasn't an accident when the Germans rolled over everything initially during World War I. They knew that Big Bertha, the big heavy howitzer, would slice right through the French and Belgian forts. Here, they built them and tested them. But not for very long, because they were rather expensive shells from back in the day. One of the things we always see in these forests, we could literally be standing next to it. Maybe. Hopefully the dog will find it. You find the strangest things. Everywhere there's some remnants of something. So wait a minute, we're on a testing ground and you just let me go first? Just because you're being nice? So there's, ooh, holy shit. I see it. I see it hiding in there. This is the small one, right? Is it the small one or the big one? So, built by the Germans to look and resemble the French pre-World War I or World War I forts. That is what it looks like. How awesome is this? I am a big fan of this thing. And I haven't even been inside it yet. Lots of Wait a minute, there's a lot of rebar in this. Why is there rebar in this? The French didn't build with rebar, really. So this is a hit from the 420. That whole... Did they shoot at this?
Yeah, sometimes.
But they did fire at this.
Yeah, but not much.
Well, that looks like
that
looks like part of it. But why is there rebar? The French didn't have rebar before World War I. That was the whole problem they had.
Also machst du jetzt Aufnahmen oder nicht?
Ja, ja, ja. There's a lot of rebar in this. And mosquitoes, of course. Protected entrance. Very cool. Corrugated steel roof. We're assembling the firing port. I mean, they built it to resemble. This is a lot of detail. Wow, there's a lot of mosquitoes in here. Oh, look at this. I mean, for testing, this was very elaborate. To build something this elaborate just for artillery testing. Wow. There's it. The pole, of course, just been thrown down here since. Has nothing to do with the fort. Looked like it had been hinges. Sorry, there's a lot of bugs in here. Wow. This was very, very detailed. And actually very reinforced. I'm surprised at how well built this was. You can come in, all the mosquitoes are following me already. I mean, they really built this with details. Boo. Come on in. There's a lot of bugs in here.
But in spring they are more aggressive.
Good, we don't ever go here in the spring then, because and there's a hole for an what looks like an observation post on top. I had no idea how many mosquitoes there were in there. Hi, baby. Who's your baby? Who's your puppy dog? Who's your puppy dog? Who's your puppy dog? Who's your puppy dog? Well, we're gonna go upstairs.
Let's take the elevator.
I'm with it. This is really, really detailed. They really went all out when they built this. Yeah, there's a good corner taken out too.
No elevator.
Oh. They fired the really heavy Big Bertha at this. You can see where bits and pieces have come out or landed. I mean, it's not like a solid, it looks like a solid block. But I'm surprised to see this very, very heavy rebar in this, because this was not indicative of what the French had, unless they tried to build this better, or they tried to build it. Maybe they didn't know what the French were doing. Maybe they didn't know that the French had not put a lot of rebar in their forts. This is a firing wall. This is a firing wall. This is like you would see at Festung Wagner. You would see something resembling this at Mutzig. We built things like this. Infantry firing wall. They would come up on the perimeter, like Festung the Damen. This looks like the German-built forts around Metz. I see the same parapet with a little step. Ooh, this is really cool. I mean, this is heavier rebar than I would even see on the Atlantic Wall. This is a parapet. I mean, look at this rebar. This is inches. This is 1.5 inches, 2 inches thick. Here you look like an impact crater, and it would have been something torn up. It was this rebar sticking out of the ground. But I am. I gotta watch this stuff here. Look at this. Look at this rebar. Look at how thick this is. And there's so much of it. I'm not sure this is built to French specifications. I think this is built to see, not to test the shell, but to test fortress construction, to see if they could build something that could withstand the French fire as much as it would be the other way around. Here it looks like you have another parapet that have been destroyed with cement pieces, but the shape is still here. Wow. And there's the other. If it wasn't for the mosquitoes, I'd gladly fight out of this thing. We'll make our way down Nature's Lane. What am I looking at? This looks like the same parapet. See how long this is. I wonder if I'm standing on top of the tunnel. looks like it here. Well, given the vertical pieces of cement I'm standing on. But here you will notice there's no cement rebar sticking out. Did you notice there's no cement rebar, there's no rebar sticking out of these? Like here something hit it, but there's no rebar sticking out of this at all, like over there. This is damaged? This? I mean, this is, I mean, these didn't get her on. Like,
yeah, no rebar.
No rebar.
The stones, that's not good quality.
This is what the French would build.
The stones.
So maybe they built these differently, this one different, that one different, just to see what would hold up the best.
Yeah, this makes sense. But it looks like a train station, but here it's not.
No, this is the firing parapet. This is exactly, you see this at Festung de Wagner, where you have these all around Festung de Damen as well. You go on top of the main structure, on top of it, and you have these parapets in all directions. They're built exactly the same. And here is a little bit of rebar, and this is thin. Okay, here's more rebar. Most of it is thinner.
So this time ago there was no forest.
I agree. Yeah, that tree is pretty old.
Yeah, but it's underneath.
Yeah, the other trees are younger. I'll make my way through here in a graceful fashion. No, can't do that. True. So yeah, here's a little bit of rebar sticking out of this, but not as much as on the other one. I know, I mean, this is really something else. Atlantic wall, you wouldn't see anything this thick.
All bent. They are bent downwards.
I mean, even if the Russians were using this afterwards,
Some bent them.
some could have bent them, but that takes a bit of a hammering. Well, actually, if it takes hammering, then there would be hammer marks, wouldn't there? Something like you'd hit it. That's the only way to, so they wouldn't fall over to stab themselves if the Russians had maneuvers here. What a cool thing. She's right behind you. Right behind you. Wow. Yeah, I'm standing in an impact crater here. But you know what? Whatever was underneath here, tunnels, held up against this hit. So this was on top of that hill, and there's a walkway around it. This looks like a pillar for an antenna or a little.
See, there's a little...
Is there stairs inside?
This was a bit like a half run you could walk around. You see stuff like this on the Atlantic. Ooh, it's a, oh, I know what this is. An observation post.
Yeah, there are stairs inside.
It's an observation post that's upside down. There used to be a... So it used to be up there.
Yeah.
But this is not an artillery observation post. This is a firing frontline observation post. They have something all similar to this in shape at Festung de Mutzig. And then they put a little steel roof on there of a couple of centimeters. And so this used to be up there.
Puts his trash inside.
Yeah, it's like a little snail.
That's bad behavior.
I'm guessing it's full of bugs.
No.
No? But for testing, rebar and everything, it really is. This is really well built. There would be, I know they would put on like a 2 centimeter roof, steel plate on top, of some of.
When it's steel, the Russians take it.
Yeah, and this may have been blown up before the Russians ever got here. It's definitely not it. So a big impact on this roof. You know what? And this was facing that way. These two forts are built like a defensive line facing that direction. That is what this is.
It was tilt one side and then slides
Yeah,
down.
because this would have faced that way too. And this is observation, not firing, because these are not big enough to shoot out of. This is just so very, very, very cool. And this was the floor. This whole fort is built like a defensive position facing that direction, almost the same as Festung de Damen around Metz that we built.
Oh, yeah.
This is not built like the French. This is ours. This is built like our stuff.
Okay.
And then it dawned on me what we were really looking at. This is the test bed for my favorite pre-World War I fort, Feste de Damen, one of the German forts built around Metz in Alsace-Lorraine. You may remember seeing my walkthrough video from there. It's in remarkable shape, just like this. But here I'm seeing the fort. They built to test the cement and the rebar, the general design features of that very fort. You look at the palisades, you look at the superstructure, the different entrances, the hallways. This is a miniature Feste de Damen. This was designed many years before the actual construction of Damen began, but after the lessons from Feste de Mutzig. And here, the first simple lessons learned after the War of 1870, and the tests done thereafter. This is the test bed. Here they did exactly what the French did not do at Douaumont and so many other pre-World War I forts. Here the Germans built a test bed, and they fired heavy 420mm shells at it, and generally, by the looks at it, it held up pretty well. But truly, this is just an amazing piece of history. This is a world's first, and the lessons learned from here continues to go into bunker production and development today. Just compare this to Feste de Damen outside Metz. That is what really impressed me. I never thought I was going to see, well, I guess the baby and the grown-up.
Hi, puppies. This is another one of those places I'm really glad I got to see, because first of all, I didn't know it existed until a few hours ago. Second of all, this is a testing fort that is built almost exactly like the forts we actually did build around Metz and around France and other places, except the rebar here, being a World War I fort or pre-World War I testing fort, the rebar here is heavier than I've even seen at the Atlantic Wall, World War II. So maybe this was overbuilt specifically to test how well we could withstand French artillery. And the dog is happy. Are you a happy dog? Wait, stop bothering me. I'm digging holes, can't you see?
Sorry?
I was talking to Paula.
This is news for
Yeah.
Fledermaus.
Well, there's a lot of food for the Fledermaus here. There's an abundance of mosquitoes that are much happy that I'm visiting. But wait a minute, if they're locking these off for... No, that's just for the bats to live in. Wow, this really is something else. So I'm in the hallway. I'm gonna crawl in here because I don't know why the hell I thought I couldn't. It's not like me not testing things. Oh, now I see the problem. So this is where the shell impact was. Whoa, wait a minute. Yeah, this is the... Well, these have been sealed. And there was tile here. And there's possibly an entrance, although it does look like a crew shelter as well. At least we know where this dirt came from. This is so fascinating because this, I think, is one of the forts they built to test the structure and construction of the forts around Metz that I've also visited, which makes this exponentially cool. That's one of the things the French sort of didn't want to do before World War I, is blow up their own forts as testing to see if they would hold up to the shells that they then found out they couldn't. Hi, puppy dog. Yes, I know I know how. An interesting note is the doorway protection. Here you have the test of double doors leading in to a U-shaped, and here you have roughly the same but without where you enter on the side. This is what you see in bunkers all the way through World War II. How the doorways were protected. What an awesome thing. I'm really glad I saw this fort because this could have been the test bed of so many of the forts we're going to see from World War I and the ones that were built even up to World War II. Let's see what else is out here. Something sticking up over there. This is just such a fascinating area. So many testing grounds. Of course the Soviets took them over after the war, continued their testing and training. So we're back to an area where we don't really know what's where. The AK-47 ammo box. It's green. Yeah, there's an ammunition box for AK ammo. Don't think we can sell it on eBay. Unless there's ammo in it. It's screwed together with one piece. Oh well, I had something bolted into it. just like these. A lot of these could have been anchors to hold something down. Antenna. There's also some Russian rocket parts out here, and well, you still really don't want this flying at you. That is what makes these places so fascinating. And looks like old running trenches. Rocket skin?
Or plain parts.
Or plain parts. Shrapnel. So a few of those. I mean, we are in a very large hole. We are in a very large hole, which could be a natural groove, or it could just be a very large explosion. Although we are pretty close to populated areas, so even for the Russians to test something this close to cities or small towns does seem a little bit of a stretch. And we're looking for the larger bunker that they built out here, again, pre-World War I, for testing. I think we may have found it. It's interesting, they didn't build it very deep in the ground, but is a lot larger. And then they shelled it. And one can imagine the landscape out here 100 years ago, 75 years ago, even when the Russians were here. No trees, everything shredded and peeled as just another proving ground. And then nature flattened out. Very, very flat all of a sudden. Very, very cool. So this is the big fort that we can see nothing of.
Den Ort nicht markiert gehabt auf GPS. Ohne GPS.
Ja, natürlich.
Das da vorne bei dem Windrad, dass wir das gemerkt haben.
Why is it we have this passionate desire to crawl around underground?
Our ancestors know. Paula, hier bleiben.
Hi, Boo Boo.
Paula, komm her.
You want to come?
Komm her.
You're not coming.
Paula,
You are so not coming. Thank you for leaving that piece of rebar dangling right in front of me, just to remind me that it's there. Should we not?
Should I hold your camera?
No, no. I'm just looking at the cement ball that's dangling here. I love it. All right. Well, you guys are coming in on the sideways entrance because, well, that's just how it is. And here's a
graceful.
Love it. So this is where it all caved in from a hit.
There, some roof damage. The main bar.
Yeah. Very thick rebar.
But only halfway.
Only halfway, yeah.
Russian. Mostly Russians drive their hometown. Right think Moskva.
Yeah, we saw that at Jutbug as well.
Itva, Gena. Ah, here. Krasnoyarsk.
That came from a bit of a distance. And there's still a pipe for ventilation.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, is strange for something they used for just for testing. This is pretty big.
Karelskaya. Yule 1980. Yes.
All right. So we have options. We're going that way, aren't we?
This is Sackgasse. Dead end.
I knew we were going the I knew we were going the other way. This would be too easy. All right. It shifted a bit, didn't it?
Yeah, here's a warmth. It's warped. Okay.
All right.
Let me first.
Sure.
Then take your camera and then I film you how you look graceful. Or you try.
You're optimistic. Well, this is not the best angle of view, so I'm just going to film something else.
Oh, my butt looks oversized, I know. But I tell you, it isn't.
Shouldn't we do like a sexy historian calendar or something?
Good for sitting. And remember, you must look graceful.
Sup? How you doing? Was that the one? Remember, I work out. During this time of crisis, I work out. I'm trying to do this gracefully. Am I doing this gracefully? I'm doing my Bogart voice. I haven't fallen yet, which would be very ungraceful. How you doing? You come here often? We have now lost any kind of serious viewer. Well, that's graceful. You did that cool video where you came through here and you speed it up with music, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I remember.
I know that because you sent it to me, I think.
I wonder where the scent comes here. You aren't that deep.
Well, I'm guessing something hard impacted the roof and took the sand with it. That's interesting. All this damage, but there's no, and again, ventilation.
It's dead. Or seawers.
And there's, yeah.
Maybe they have seawers.
You know, doesn't this look like there could have been a ladder up here? Even rungs? I mean, it looked like there could have been a steel ladder embedded, and I don't know if there, could have been hit and filled up. It's very hard to tell. I think that's that's definite.
You first.
Yay. I need a new fleece. Interesting. But yeah, there is an exceptional amount of sand in here.
It's from the sides. But when this was new, there must be a normal way here.
Yeah.
Walk up right.
I mean, yeah, this would have been a walkway. And I see, I wonder if they had telephones. What if they had phone connection or radio? Some sort of communication. Now we have an echo.
And as we crawl through here, when you watch my episodes about the evolution of the great forts, you can clearly see this is how things started. This is how they researched it, built these, because this development, these roofs, the corrugated iron, the hallways, these details, we see repeated in the future constructions of fortresses World War I and World War II.
Is that a step down? I mean, this hallway must have been an exit?
This looks like an exit. Maybe here are some wood,
doorway?
woodwork, but there's a bar. It cannot be.
No. No, this is... I mean, you have shrapnel in the wall here behind you. So, explosion took down some of the wall with it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You have to come to Metz with me and see some of the forts out there sometime, because it really is. It's amazing out there. Wow. Here you really see the layers. I think they poured this in layers. Layer, rebar, instead of having the rebar inside and covered with the cement. Is this up to the other floor? Because that's a... It looked like it was a stairwell up there.
There's not enough room to the top.
Oh no, there's not. This is
There cannot be a second floor above this.
ventilation then? But why is there a roof there? I don't know. All those interesting things.
Grozny.
До свидания. I always say when I see Russian graffiti, if you were stationed here, shoot me a call. I should probably enable my Russian subtitles, since... Do you think here was a door, an exit? A firing port? Or cabling? Look at the 3 holes.
Fewer 3 more.
Look at these 3 holes. Oh, there's...
Air condition. Or I wonder if they have a water source here. It's too small for a water source.
Were people working in this, I wonder? Because this can't just have been for firing, for testing. I mean, it could, but there's all these implements for electricals and cabling. There must have been...
This looks newer here. This is...
It does. And look at what's in the rebar. This is thinner. This is a mesh. This is not really rebar. This is more of a mesh, isn't it? By the way,
or this is not original anymore here. This part.
They could have continued on World War II. Without information, it's... But this mesh is really unusual.
Looks too new to me.
Well, as I keep walking into it...
It has this mesh and shape here. This
tangled, like kind of twisted.
Tangled.
Yeah, it does look that way. I don't know whether. Yeah, it looks like they put this on, built this on. In here, there's more the heavy rebar, and this is sort of an outer work, patchwork, maybe. I'm guessing this is the dead end.
Yes.
Is that a bottle? What is that?
That's with a thread, huh? What's this piece?
Hold.
Look.
If it explodes, I'll let you know. The hell is this? I didn't know any better, I would say this is a bone.
Okay. Yes, with some meat on it.
It is, isn't it? It's a bone, isn't it?
Looks tasty.
Great. Well, you did say there was a fox living in here.
Too large for a fox, huh?
Yeah, but it could have been a bit of a deer or something he brought in here to eat it. Does it look like a bone? It does look like an old. Looks like an old bone though. You know, I was thinking about I should bring my knife, but
Ooh. Ooh.
the hell is it? Well, it's a very old bone if it's a bone.
But can it be like this?
Oh, a stalactite.
Yeah.
Well,
Right
bone and calcium, right?
Look at this here. They built up with a round top.
That's all we need. Is this a bone? But there are different construction methods in play in the same place, which is sort of strange.
There must be a door, huh? Hinges.
Yeah. So this doorway leads to another tunnel that's collapsed. Wasn't that what he said? I keep thinking there must have been communication or electrical in these. So I wonder if they used this for observation as well. What is dripping on me? Stalactite part. An artifact. Oh. And a bolt.
Looks suspicious here.
Huh.
Maybe it could fly?
Maybe it's a bolt and maybe it's a nut on a bolt. But what's it doing here? If it doesn't bite, you're fine. But it's large.
That's, what is this? 30, 40 meters?
Hallway? Yeah. Yeah. Maybe a little more. Yeah, this rebar is a lot heavier than that little mesh down the other end. Strange.
That looks very good here.
Something really must have gotten in here and shredded this stuff. Is there any reason why we one day don't bring a shovel in here and just enlarge that hole? I mean, just, you know, for the next guy.
You must camp here for
I
3
mean,
days.
take 20 minutes to just pull some dirt in here. Just make it twice as big.
You will be thankful.
The next guy's always thankful.
Cleaning my arm. Ow.
Graceful. Smooth.
Much better than taking a day off. Sitting at home.
I feel like a snake.
You don't think a snake would have made that look
snail?
good? I'll go with a snail. Some sort of sluggish amphibian. Wow. I love that stone hanging there. Just to remind historians that sometimes we're under a rock and a hard place. So hard to imagine that 7,500 years ago, there's no trees, nothing here. It would just look like a World War I lunar scape full of holes. Ooh. What have you found? What is this? That's Russian.
It's a fake tank.
Fake tank, yeah. But the cement, is that part of the bunker we were in? But we were wondering if there was an entrance or something. We're still standing on it, right? It wasn't buried very deep. I like the little detail with the little driver's hatch on the fake tank. But this... probably newer. I don't know what it is. Training trench something.
Now I am absolutely not done looking at proving grounds here and all over the world. The test buildings, the constructions, the test bunkers, the sites, the damage, the hallways. There's so much to these places. But here I found such an important link in the development of fortress construction, and I'm going to keep looking for more of those.
Behind me is Werner von Braun's first test stand. Down the road is Diebner's nuclear reactor. Over there is the Maginot Line and all its amazing forts. I'm visiting them all and I'm bringing them to you. So I really appreciate you like, follow, and share what I'm doing, trying to document all these important historical locations. And if you feel like you want to watch more pictures or documents that I use for these, go to lostbattlefields.com. And if you feel like helping me out with my travels, because gasoline and travel and airfare is expensive, my PayPal is there, protectionserviceint.com. You are more than welcome, but you don't have to. I appreciate all your support and all your help, and I love seeing these locations, and I love bringing them to you.